So my question is, the human and the jinn, devil, have a free will. Why is that? What will be the moral choice?
Okay, look what you asked about will. That's a
Free
question.
will. They have a free will, whether human or devil or jinn.
Right. Yeah, that's a common statement that people make about this thing called free will. There's no such thing as free will. There's will, which is defined as the ability to decide upon a course of action, but the will is not free because the fact that there's always a consequence based upon the decisions that you make. So there's no such thing as free will. Okay, so it's really about the law of cause and effect. That for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, so there's always consequence, but the consequence doesn't mean it's disagreeable, or it's agreeable. It just is. Will justice it is undecided. If you want to go to a particular destination, you come to a roundabout. You can either take the first exit, the second exit, or the third exit. The decision is yours. Whichever route you take will take you on to a different direction. But make sure that when you do choose, you use sound right reasoning. I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to use my will to take the third exit, so I'll reach my destination.
So you have to look at it that when people say free will, that again, like my brother just said, is coming from a religious concept. And it's really about this planet is like a prison, right? It's the lowest realm, as I said, which in Islam you guys or Islamic people refer to as Nasut. The objective is to raise yourself so that you can go back to Malakut and then up to what they will say the bosom of Allah or Lahut. I explained it briefly as solid, liquid and gas, yeah? So when people say you have free will, but there is a consequence because you're being taught how to choose properly or how to make the right decisions. Because remember that the whole point we're supposedly here is because when we were in heaven, according to religion, we were in a beautiful place with no sickness, and we were in a garden and so forth. And God put a tree of knowledge in the middle of Jannah and said that don't eat of that fruit because if you do, you're going to die. But then apparently this other being came and what do they call in Islam? They call him the not shaitan, the whisperer.
Oh, right.
Nakas. Yeah. He came and basically told them, if you eat of the fruit, surely you're not going to die. You're going to become like God to know good from evil. You see? So they ate the fruit, they didn't die, and their eyes were opened, and they said to become like one of us or Elohim. And when you're using, this is why we keep saying that Islam, Christianity, and Judaism are Abrahamic religion, because Abraham is like their patriarch, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're coming from Arabic, Greek, Hebrew, it all leads to the same, yeah? So they were told they were going to be cast out of the garden and they came to earth. So your whole point of being here now is to work your way back up. But you have to walk the Suratul Mustaqim, yeah? So the right path or the correct path. So what happens is that when you're here on the planet, as we say, because you got the devil here as well with his children making, or you guys will say jinns, making evil fair seeming, he will present things to you in a way that, let's say, it's bad for you, but it will be presented as being good. And these are the jinns behind it, right? So you have to decide if you're going to go walk the Siratul Mustaqim, the straight path, so that you can get back to heaven, or you're going to do the devil's work and remain cast there. So that's where the will thing comes in. So you do have to choose correctly so that you will receive the favor of returning back. And that's what free, like every state you go from being in the middle, and then you go zeros if you're dealing with like computer 0 and 1, which is binary, or you got good and bad, or like we say agreeable, disagreeable. So really, from the middle point, you have to learn the information to choose wisely so that you can go to the right path, which literally is going to be able to take you away from this prison that we call Earth, because this is a physical suit. But in order for you not to keep reincarnating, when you get to that point where you have to choose, you either get sent through the wormhole, which is a white light, to come back here, or you can choose, if you know what you're doing, to go the other way and then meet your ancestors, and they can guide you to continue your development on the other realms.
See what's happened with these jinns, what they've managed to do, being in human form, is that, and being in society and controlling society, because like I was saying, they were disembodied, jinns, energy form that incarnated into bodies. So Shaitan, has his children, because they use the word nasala. The word nasala in the Arabic means seed. You understand?
Yeah.
So there's a seed, there's an actual progeny of Shaitan, or these fallen angelic beings. So because some of them are in certain positions of power, all from commercial institutions to educational institutions, they've created multiple choice. Do you understand? That multiple choice has been misinterpreted by humans as I got free will. But really, these multiple choices, whether it's the Quran, the Bible, Injil, all of these different religious books, or even just choices of what you decide to do, is actually based upon what they've given you. You understand? So like it's been explained already, is that your decision is based on what you've found out and have knowledge of. That's your true decision, so you can make the right journey back towards the bosom of Allah, not the multiple choices that these jinns or in human form have created. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. My second question is, the people who are spiritual, follows their religious, whether he's a Muslim, whether he's a Hindu, whether he's a Christian. Like if as a Muslim he offers a prayer 5 times, like a Hindu he go to the mandir, as a Christian the person go to the church. He is very spiritual, but his deeds are not good. He is lying, he is dishonest, he is not creating comfort for people. Will those people get the reward hereafter?
No. This is what we're saying, that when we're saying it doesn't matter what walk of life you're coming from, right? That's why I said that the 3 monotheistic religions are Abrahamic religions. But you go back before that, there were other cultures on the planet, like the Mayans, the Zoroastrians, the Egyptians, the Sumerians, Yoruba, Igbo. There's so many people on the planet. This is why it's futile to think that if you don't follow one of these books, that you're going to hell. But at the same time, spirituality has also been misinterpreted by many different people. You see, so you judge yourself by the actions that you, like we were saying, what you choose to do or not to do. But if you have not been taught properly, then you're only going to go by what you know. But everyone has the opportunity to learn now, because we are here and because we got 1,000 books from the master teacher to teach people how to make the right decisions. But you keep reincarnating because, as we are taught, you have 24 to 24,000 times to fix up. This is what we say, like, that's why the Quran says it's for those who work to perfect themselves. Then they will receive, to go back to the higher realms. But the way religion explains things sometimes, it's actually very basic, And so in any religion, you'll have what you call the Sufi. Yeah. These are the original spiritual practices before men desecrated them and ended up bringing their opinions. And so now in Islam, you will have like the hadiths, a lot of what they say in the companions of Muhammad said, as opposed to the spiritual aspects within the Quran, right? So the Sufi orders in all the religions were the ones that were being taught the right information. So even in Christianity, you have, you know, like Jesus was a part of a seeing order. So was John the Baptist, yeah? And in, you know, the different religions, they would always have that. So those who aspire to learn that information, they're going to come across this being that we're referring to as Parnabab Yanun, because he is of a 720-degree being, meaning he's mastered all the physical realm as well as what we call the spiritual or the unseen world. So he's here to teach those, because remember that both agreeable and disagreeable need to be taught, and the agreeable will then listen to this being. Yeah, the disagreeable are not going to listen to this being because they're listening to Shaitan. So there has to be a separation for those who receive the, we mentioned like the barytheric gland and the way to become fully conscious and spiritual again. Want to add anything?
No.
I just want to quickly add on what you said there. It's a very good question about somebody that would go to church or go to the mosque or go to the synagogue, yet they're still doing bad things outside of that. And will they get the rewards when they cross over? The answer is no, because the fact that they're vibrating on the frequency. Remember, when you leave the physical plane, you're vibrating on frequencies. And as Ken said, a person cannot be held responsible for that which they didn't know. However, people do know right from wrong. You know? And the more knowledge, the more educated you become, the less excuses we can make. And even though a person may do bad or evil or killing or whatever, I think, and they drop down dead, you think, oh, they got away with it. They don't. Because when they drop down dead, the physical goes back to the earth, but their essence still lives on the other frequencies. And there are beings who say, well, you know, people will get their judgment. And not only that, it's also carried down the genes with the living, because your progeny lives on through you. So the good deeds that you do now, or your characteristics, your characteristics is within your children. Follow? See? So it's all about frequencies on the physical realm and outside of the physical realm.
And I'm gonna. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Because we keep talking about the realms going upwards, but they go downwards as well. Right. So we just need to clarify that.
There's sub-abodes.
Yeah.
So even though you have Nasut, as you know, the word Nas, it's just for those who don't know. You say Nas, which means people, or human beings. So the Nas and Ut means the abode. So the abode of human beings. Now that abode has sub-levels.
That's right.
You with me? So as a being that is known as a jinn or a ghoul or a demon, etc., they're in the sub-abodes. But they could also infect or influence the living. You understand? And they can come up. How do they come up? They come up through your chakras. They come up through, because what we teach and the master teachers taught us is that your chakras are energy vortexes or gateways to the different dimensions. You understand? So these beings, if you're on that particular frequency, as you mentioned about this person doing evil or wicked, they're opening up their energy centers to allow these beings to come through them and enact those wickedness on the planet. But there's a but, is that what you do can then be passed on to your children, because that's where the sins of the father comes in. Because every action that you do, nature has a rule to balance everything. And what nature does is nature says, well, you didn't get the effect, but guess what? I have to balance things out, and your children, so that curse in that family, you see what I'm saying, or the curse in that nation is because they have not what's the word, reconciled the things that they've done in their life. Do you understand? So this is the things that we teach about. Now, back to the jinns. The jinns are also extraterrestrials in this form of known as greys. There's certain greys or extraterrestrial beings, okay, that actually come in your sleep. Yeah, they're known as the incubus and the succubus. There's two types, and they can come, and what they do, they can excrete semen and saliva, etc., from your genes, or they can arouse you, okay, to the point where you have sexual intercourse. Do you see what I'm saying? And they can actually incarnate. So there's many things that these jinns can actually do. Yeah, and they're actually extraterrestrial beings that known as the greys. Some of them are known as the Markabian greys. They're actually disagreeable, wicked ones that can do that to you as well, which in religion has been misinterpreted as jinns. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you say Iblis, for example, he was from a species of these beings known as the Marid. You see, so when we talk about beings and we use words like humans, you have to realize there's a hierarchy. So you go from being a supreme being to a being, yeah, to a human being, to a human, to a man, to going down to becoming a demon, a beast, a ghoul, going down to the lower levels. And these beings, they can have an effect on you on the physical. So it's important to understand that your vibration and your frequency, your thoughts and everything is aligned. That's why it's so important, because these genes will use things like fear, chaos and stress and many things that humans go through to change your mood and your vibration, so they can then fuse with you, because they have to bring you to a particular type of frequency, and they travel between, say, music, because music is waves. So when we say sound, light, it's all energy that can transform from one to the other. So they can actually bring your vibration down to the lowest one, which deals with like desires, you know, like the red chakra, which deals with like the Kama Sutra and the sex, and all that is dealing with lower vibrations. When you go to the higher ones, you're starting to go to your mind. So you can access and pull your being up to those higher frequencies. The beings on the lower vibrations can't reach you when you're on the higher frequencies. So they have to bring you down and then get you to drink, smoke, like you were saying, do all. And again, I'm not attacking anyone who's doing this, because vices, that's down to you to decide and control yourself, to know that if you want to reach the higher vibrations, then you have to clean yourself inside out. And, you know, the things you put into your body are going to change your vibration and your thoughts. You see, so.
And my third question is about soul. What is soul creates before the existence of human or after the? If it were before existence, where they were placing in the universe.
It's called a mental reservoir. So they were before, because people say my thought, but really you're accessing a reservoir that has been there since the beginning of time. In fact, that is referred to, and we have a scroll called the Akasha Records. In this scroll, this is what in Islam and different religions, they talk about this place where all knowledge is stored, right? And they refer to it as the Akasha Records. And that's because you got these beings, like Panda Babyanun is one of them. You got beings that keep these records. Everything we do, everything we say is recorded as a form of energy, and it's stored on crystal, what you would call me stones, yeah? And these beings have libraries of the information. So there's nothing you do that is not recorded and stored, because your matrix stores it and then it's uploaded to this, call it a server, right? Or like now they talk the cloud, you know, everyone's talking about iCloud and Google Drive and all that, but they call it the cloud. But it's really referring to the fact that all the knowledge on the planet is accessed through this mental reservoir, but there are different levels of it. So not everybody can access the higher vibrations unless you raise yourself This is why knowledge is so important, because you have to, or not necessarily knowledge, but more like when you elevate yourself, you have access to, like we were mentioning, your higher powers like telepathy, intuition, clairvoyance, psychometry. So you don't have to go through like a traditional educational system as such to get 100 degrees, but you have no emotional intelligence, you have no love or a shook, you have no way of discerning things. So it's not just about like academic education, it's about knowing yourself so you can access the higher vibrations.
May I add?
Yeah, sure.
So the soul aspect,
Yeah.
know that that's a part of your dimensional being. Yeah, so you have a soul, as they call it, ruh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the nafs or nafish,
Yeah.
and you have the bashra or the skin. Okay, and then you also have the part of you known as the akhakh, which we call the ether. So you have an etheric being part of you, and then you also have the mind, the mental. So all of these are different components of who you are as a dimensional being. As you stand here now in this density or in this dense form, know that there's also other parts of you operating in other dimensions. And so what Sir Ken and Brother Habtui are saying is that until you start to expand your vibration to a frequency that matches those different parts of you, you're not going to reach those higher realms. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's a matter of the practicing and the operating of it. So your soul is coming from that realm. You with me? And it comes in by way of your crown chakra, by your parents. When your mother and father were to conceive you, that soul entered, and what happens is your semen, the semen of the father, travels up to the crown chakra. And what it does, it fuses with the soul from that realm. And then it travels back, and then it's then ejaculated into the mother, and then the child is conceived. This is what's taking place. So the soul that some people have, okay, is coming from that dimension, other dimension of who you, of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And just to touch on that, not everybody has a soul.
Yeah.
You can have a soul, but it's not activated. Or you cannot have a soul at all because you don't have one or it's burnt out. Everybody does have a spirit. This is why people will say, well, how am I still here then? Because everything that is vibrating and alive has a spirit. That's the trees, the rocks, the animals, nature vibrates on a particular frequency. So it is possible for you to be alive without a soul. So you don't have a conscious, and when you do disagreeable acts, to you, you don't feel it. You don't have a connection to that empathy that other people that have a soul will have.
And
I knew he was going to do that. He was just waiting.
I have a last question.
All right, let Apure take your last question.
Just last question. I have ear, and also I have experience through observation. The people who are more spiritual are under the influence of devil more than the non-spiritual people. How much is true that? How much true is that? And what do you think about that?
About people having
the people who are more spiritual than the other one, like more
I'll get them.
praying more than the other people's, they are more under the influence of shaitan, devil,
okay, right.
than the non-spiritual people.
Go on. Now I was just going to say, just because you go to a mosque or to a church or...
I'm just asking what you people think
No,
about
I'll get
this.
your question. Yeah. What I'm saying is people confuse religion with spirituality. So because they go to a church or a mosque or a synagogue and they act all holy and thou, doesn't mean that they're spiritual. So when you're saying that, it's kind of a contradiction, because if you are truly spiritual, you will know how to live and behave and act in that way. So what you're really saying, there are many people who are faking the funk,
Basically,
for lack of a better word. So those are not, but we're not here to judge anybody. We're just saying, like, if you are wearing the garb and going to the mosque and going to the church and going to the synagogue, but then your actions and what you're doing doesn't reflect that, then you're not really
holy.
Yeah. Or you're holy with a lot of holes in your
you got a lot of holes,
in your character.
The holy, holy.
Yeah, holy holes.
Very
yeah.
holy. Yeah.
Just like this. Oh,
Okay. Thank you so much.
time up.